Hi, Tracy. How are you doing?
Mike, how are you? I'm doing great.
I'm great. I'm actually at South by Southwest right now, which I know Bob Trevino debuted last year. So, can you, just to start off with, can you talk about what that experience was like, debuting Bob at South by and just seeing the audience reaction?
Oh my gosh, we were at the Zach Scott Theater. It was 420 people. It was completely full. It's the vibe in there was so amazing. The South by Southwest audiences are the best. Well, they're all the audiences are wonderful, but yeah, it was amazing. I was just happy to get into South by Southwest, and we had such a beautiful premiere, March 9th. I'll never forget it. And then the award ceremony, we won, and I'm like, I didn't think it could get any better. So it's the most beautiful thing has just been seeing the audience responses.
Absolutely. So I want to start by actually talking about the end to Bob Trevino, where it's revealed that this is based on a real experience of yours. Can you walk us through just the process of realizing, oh, this could be a great movie, and when did you decide to start writing and get the ball rolling?
Yeah, so it's inspired by a true friendship. I did fictionalize
Hmm.
everything, so it's more inspired by than based on. But I experienced this kindness from a stranger. I was looking for my dad online, and he wouldn't call me back, wouldn't email me back, and so I put his name into Facebook, thinking maybe he's on there, and I accidentally friended the stranger with his name, who ended up being kind to me and helped me heal, just for the sake of being kind. And he didn't have, you hear all these horror stories about people meeting on the internet and then horrible things happening, and here I was, experiencing healing from the kindness of a stranger on the internet. So and having kind of a really paternal father figure in my life that I'd never really had before. So I think I just experienced that, and I felt so blessed that I needed to share it. It was just too much for me not to share, and so I just decided to write it, and it was really a thank you to this person who changed my life, and now it's become so much more than that because what was my story, I'm finding, is not just my story. A lot of people have experienced something like this. They've experienced abandonment or feeling like they don't belong, or, maybe they've dealt with, kind of toxic people in their life. And it's a really hard thing to go through, and I hope the movie helps people feel that they're not alone.
I feel like that is the refreshing aspect of the movie because so often in media, social media is portrayed as, you got to be careful, which the film does touch on. Like there's the warning, it could be like a catfish, but ultimately it is like about how people from wildly different backgrounds can connect when they wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, and I remember when I got the internet, it was exciting and it was connecting me to people outside my own little circle, and it was a beautiful thing. And now it was making me feel less alone. And now we're it's kind of trying to divide us. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be that way. It can be a tool for connection and a tool for realizing that we're not all so different. I just hope we lean that way, and I hope this film helps restore people's faith in humanity and remember that these things matter.
You got great performances out of Barbie Ferreira and John Leguizamo, the entire cast. Can you talk about casting those two in particular and getting the chemistry where, like, the audience, because like they're great together, and you really do buy how they would just be these fast friends, and how John Leguizamo would be this father figure to her.
Yeah, I would say a lot in casting. I was like, we're not casting actors, because I get these lists and things. I'm like, we're not casting actors, we're casting hearts. And I firmly believe that there's, in my stories, that there's one person meant to play each role. I don't think it's just, checking off boxes. I don't feel that way at all. And across the board in all the things I'm writing, that's how I feel. So when I knew Barbie was the person, I knew John was the person, and I got everybody that I actually wanted, which I feel that that's very rare, especially for a first time feature director. And so all I can say is, it was magic. I felt like a matchmaker when they sat down. I did a lot of work beforehand before we, made the offers to them. And I was like, I know they're right. And when we sat down for rehearsal, the very first scene that we did together, I was like, it's perfect. They are perfect. And we didn't even use all our rehearsal time, which is crazy, because I was like, well, that's perfect. Don't mess with it. Let's go play basketball.
Seeing as this was your first feature, what was the learning curve, right? Or were there any particularly challenging scenes you had to figure out how to make come to life?
Yeah, I think, we didn't have that much time. At the end of the day, when you look at the days that we actually had to shoot, we had about 18 and 20 locations. So that's pretty crazy, I I think I learned that I don't want to do it that way again. That I want to have a little more time next time, but we had to do it this way, and that's beautiful and that's great. And we formed a team. Um, I think it's a marathon, and it's hard. And one thing I learned is that I could not have done it without my team. You cast the cast, but you also cast the crew. And I did a lot of interviews before I offered anybody a job or before I found my producing partners. I interviewed 34 producers before I picked my producers, but now they're people I want to work with for the rest of my life. So, in a weird way, you're forming your own little chosen family, to create your art and tell your stories. And so I just really learned that I'm not alone, that if I pick the right people, they have my back, I have their back, and we can face these obstacles together.
So, what's next for you, or what are you working on currently? Seeing as there was about a year gap between South by last year and now the movie coming out. What's next?
There's a couple things I'm pitching on, we'll see if either of them happen. There's one I'm pushing really hard that was inspired by IP that I just fell in love with. I went crazy. I had paper up. My roommate's like, "Are you okay?" Like paper was everywhere. I was like, "I'm a vessel for the story," or whatever. So it's like it deals with similar themes to Bob Trevino, and so it means the world to me. I hope it goes. I also wrote a new one that's kind of similar father-daughter, but it's not it's like a companion piece, not a sequel, but it's kind of a, what happens later with your, in this kind of relationship. And we'll see. I'm learning that the films that I'm most drawn to, they have a lot of heart. They challenge perceptions and they deal with chosen family or sense of belonging, because it really is a mission of mine to make sure that everybody knows that they belong.